Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk.
Would be at roll call, please. One more. Bill? Okay. All right. We have 16 present.
Thank you.
Next would be approval of the minutes for the December 12th meeting.
How about we take them both at the same time? Would you put the 18th out there as well?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
could I get a motion to approve the minutes then of December 12th and December 18th? Thank you, Mr. Salzer. Thank you, Mr. Elsesser. And we'll wait while the clerk adjusts the thing over here.
I believe so. Okay. Okay. I don't know what I just did. Okay. I lost my motions now. That's December 19th. We'll just make the note when we do the recording.
All right, so we're going to vote once. She'll record it individually, I think, to make it simpler on this side of my thing tonight. All those in favor of the motion to approve both minutes, please vote.
That would be 16 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. And the clerk will be recording that separately, although voted on as one item. I have a proclamation of sorts to do tonight, but before I do that, I'd like to ask permission to welcome His Honor, the Chief Judge of the 10th Circuit. Do I have the circuit right? The Chief Judge of the 10th Circuit, Mr. Paul Gilfillan, has requested a little bit of time, which we always yield the floor.
Testing.
Mike. I need Mike.
Good evening, and before I begin any formal comments here today, I would like to, and I think I was successful in large measure, by introducing many of you to our next Director of Probation and Court Services, and that is Mark Bronke. Mark, would you mind standing, please? Mark will be sworn in on Monday morning, the 13th at 8:45 in courtroom 210. If you're available, please feel free to stop by. I have complete confidence in Mark in carrying on the excellent tradition of that department, as was led for about a decade by his immediate predecessor, Dan Hunt. And so we're thrilled to have him on board, a 22-plus year employee of the county and in the probation sector. So thank you, Mark.
Welcome aboard, or to your new role, I should say.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, council, and county administration, it's my pleasure to be here again for my 4th annual State of the Courts address to the county board, all of which previous comments and opportunities have been marked by their brevity and optimism, and this year will be no exception. I am the placeholder for the judiciary, not only in the 10th Circuit, but Peoria County. I also happen to be Peoria County's presiding judge. What that means in terms of our interaction with each other is that I represent the judiciary, a co-equal branch of government that operates with sovereignty within a building you and our taxpayers own, and that is managed and secured by our sheriff's department. We, judiciary and legislative branch, are bound together by state statutes, the state constitution, and Supreme Court rules. There are occasions when those ties that bind us can become strained, as was evidenced to some degree recently within the past few months when the county and courts had their own test and tension between them concerning budget-related matters. And at this time, I would like to officially and publicly thank the following board members for answering the call on short notice invitation of mine to meet with me and to discuss those issues and listen to each other, those being first and foremost Chairman Rand and members Fennell, Rosenbaum, and Relaford. And with that said, I am fully aware that there were additional discussions and communications going on with other board members that helped lead to this resolution, so to speak. And I think I can speak for and with Chairman Rand in indicating at the end of that scenario, we left the room and left the meetings and left the votes, so to speak, standing shoulder to shoulder instead of face to face. So thank you all for that communication, collaboration, and cooperation, which I have routinely attributed the phrase of which to Administrator Sorrell, and which I have adopted as my own, but always attributed to him. The funding of our court system in this county and all 102 counties of the state is a shared responsibility of the state and the counties. The main funding sources for our judicial branch and the operation of the courts comes from the state income tax, county property taxes, filing fees, and fines and assessments imposed by the courts. In terms of your budget, there are courts line items referred to therein, and they mainly consist of court administration, probation and court services, juvenile detention center, public defender, to name the major components thereof. And while those departments or agencies appear in your budget, make no mistake, they are not county departments. They are agencies of the 10th Circuit. Interestingly, and this took a time and while for me to grasp as well, while those employees of those agencies, probation officers, JDC officers, and the like, receive paychecks from the county and thus could be or qualify as county employees, they are, in fact, responsible to the courts and subject to court hiring, firing, disciplinary actions, and the like, and therefore are legally court employees. For more information on that and to expound further, I would invite you to contact your state's attorney's representative here today, and I would also be happy to meet and talk with you about that topic in the future. You likely know that the majority of the court personnel under our agency, such as probation officers and JDC officers, those salaries are 100% reimbursable by the state this year, which is the good news. And yes, I am keenly aware that those employees have fringe benefits that are the responsibility of the county by state statute. I think that's a good introduction to some of you to our courts, and a good reminder to some of you that have been here before and had the opportunity to listen to me again, which I appreciate your being patient with. To wrap up by stating and inviting you basically to feel free to follow up individually or as small groups with me or any of my staff to discuss further our operations, what we do and how we do it and how much it costs. Before that, I would even encourage you to look at our court website. We do have such. It's about a year old, I think. It's called 10th Circuit Court il.org. If you need the exact spelling on that, you can contact Scott or myself, and we'll be happy to give that to you. that also gives you at your fingertips time and information that you can learn more about us and what we do. I would like to thank you for everything you do that I don't even see and I don't even know about on a monthly, yearly basis for the county to allow it to operate as smoothly as it does, and for partnering with the courts to allow it to do the same. Thank you so much, and let's have a great 2020.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it very much.
I have no citizens' remarks.
I think I'll do this one a little differently. Phil, Mr. Salzer, would you join me, please, for a moment? It's kind of a good news thing, Phil. You have completed now, as of the 9th of January, your 25th year of service to this body. Do you know that was coming up? You know every other date in U.S. history. I'll bet you can name all the chief judges going back, 10 before Judge Gilfillan, too. Congratulations.
None of them were better quarterbacks than he was.
Well, we could get into that here because he threw a couple of straight ones right at me in the late fourth quarter. Just kidding, Paul. Members of the body, Paul is one of these kind of characters that has a storied career in just about everything a young fella can do, growing up and living and thriving in Peoria County, Illinois. And most of us know Phil as teacher and coach and politician and a friend to anyone in need and those kinds of things. Best yard sign putter outer of all of them. But he's a pretty special guy to me because when it gets that, I got to talk to you about something, I usually have to listen because Phil's got a lot to say there, we know. But when it's private one-on-one, he's a great advice giver, and he knows stuff young whippersnappers like the rest of us might not. So congratulations, Phil, on 25 years. I appreciate your being a good concierge and, most importantly, a friend. And I sure hope you run for another term, Phil, okay, because we're counting on you. But I'm going to give you the microphone to say whatever you want, even if it's nothing, okay? Brevity. Judge said brevity. I offer you some levity, okay?
Well, I appreciate this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy that I was able to support you again. And I appreciate the people of Peoria County. I've been tied to many of the public figures as well as the average citizen who was either the father or the mother of many of some great students that I had. And that's what we can't forget in education. We've got a lot of good kids out there, and sometimes their story doesn't get told, and we need to spread the word that these kids, they perform a lot of duties that they go unrecognized for. This recognition of service to the county, yes, I have put in about 25 years, but there's many other people in here who are workers who probably have done the same thing. I do want to thank everybody who was concerned about my health in the month of December. I am starting to bounce back a little bit. You don't bounce back as quickly when you turn 80 years old and do have some of the things done to you that you had done to you when you were about 60 years old. So thank all of you who sent me a card or made a phone call to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Phil. Thank you.
Next, we'll be at consent agenda.
Thank you, everyone. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Ms. Williams, Mr. Fennell on the second. Are there any items to be pulled, discussed, removed? We're good as it is? Seeing none, then we would be voting on the consent agenda as submitted. Please vote.
16 ayes, 0 nays. Next would be your zoning ordinance and resolutions. Case W 01-20, petition of David Sheeline, trustee, a resolution from your land use committee recommending approval of a waiver of compliance from section 20-8.3.4.1.b.2.a of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section requires a new minor subdivision to have public water supply. The petitioner is proposing to serve a one-lot subdivision with a private well. The property is located in Rosefield Township.
Mr. Dillon on the motion to approve, Mr. Elsasser on the second. Any comments? Last chance. Seeing none, please vote.
Sixteen ayes, 0 nays. Next would be a resolution from your County Operations Committee recommending approval of the collective bargaining agreement between Peoria County Sheriff's Office and the Police Benevolence Labor Committee.
A motion to approve, Mr. Renault, Ms. Allison. This would be the blue document, is that correct?
That is correct.
It's at your stations tonight. This is hot off the press. Mr. Renault, do you have any comment?
Just that I think this is a good agreement. I think the members of the unit are happy with it. I think everybody involved did a good job on this, so I support it and looking forward to it being voted on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you, Shauna. I understand the sheriff, who's not here tonight, and his senior leadership are to be applauded as well. Any other comments? Seeing none, please vote.
16 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Mr. Renault.
Next we'd be at miscellaneous and announcements.
Yeah, we're going to need an executive session. It's going to be brief as you make it, Mr. Rosenbaum. So we'll go through miscellaneous or announcements, starting on my left, your right. Any comments? Hi, Ms. Rutherford. Ms. Pastusha.
So I just want to let folks know about something that's happening January 17th, 18th, and 19th. If you have not heard of the Penguin Project, this is going to be the 17th year, I believe. This is something that started in Peoria and now has spread to 43 other locations across the United States, and it's really a wonderful program. It's one of the most joyful things you'll ever see. Their performance is Legally Blonde, the musical junior. It's kids. All the kids who are the stars of the show are kids with disabilities. My daughter is a mentor this year, so I encourage everyone to come. And you can get tickets online. It will sell out, so get them fast. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Dillon.
I got a couple things. I'll try to make them brief, but I want to brag on the sheriff again about another recent he keeps the streak of stellar hires coming into Peoria County, and most of you might not have noticed, but Angel Cruz was recently hired as the case manager for reentry at the jail. And if anybody here has not met Mr. Cruz, that man does more for this community and people in need than anybody even realizes. That guy is a true rock star, and we're blessed to have him care so much about this community. And when I saw that he was hired by the sheriff's department, he was working at the city helping with some programs. But Mr. Cruz, it doesn't matter whether it's 4 a.m. or 3 or 8 o'clock at night. That man is constantly working to try to make Peoria better. And so for him to be part of Team Peoria County and the sheriff department, I mean, from Doug, Chris, and James, Rhonda, and all the hires, I mean, he just keeps the hits coming with all these great hires. And we're only as good as our team is, and he keeps adding to the team. So to the sheriff's office, congrats. And to Angel, I'm super proud to call you my friend and to have you work at Peoria County. And then lastly, speaking of the Penguin Project, you know, a lot of times we talk about that there's not enough going on in this community or nice events, but I want to touch on an event that the Penguin Project was at. But the Civic Center with PNC, Illinois American Water, the building trades, puts on a free event every year for the ball drop down at the Civic Center. And if you've never attended the kids event there, that place was packed with people singing, face painting, balloons, and it's starting to catch on and get fuller every year, but it has people from out of town that come to it now, and it's a free event that's put on for this community, and there's a free event with free music later at there that's safe at the Civic Center. So we don't like to highlight positives enough, and that's a true positive that's free for anybody in this community, put on by the Civic Center and those partners. So I just wanted to bring a little attention. I should have brought it up last month to say that it was, because there's a lot of people that saw pictures afterwards and said, I wish I would have known it. But it was amazing how many people were there from the city of Peoria and the surrounding communities celebrating a fun family friend event that was completely free. So we need to start highlighting things like that in the community, because there's a lot of good in this community. So I just wanted to highlight that free event that I saw that was really, I didn't see a face that wasn't smiling when they lined up all the kids with free noisemakers and hats and had a drum line walk them out to shoot off fireworks and everything. So it was a really neat event, and this community is lucky to have things like that.
Did the operating engineers get the job done?
The IBW, the local electricians, and the operating engineers volunteered again, so it was a good event.
Thank you. Mr. Fennell, I see your hand.
Thank you. I also attended down at the Riverfront Museum, the Peoria Civic Corral, and it was this year they had a gala. It was a dinner meal, and it was really a neat thing to go to. So they're going to try it again next year, so I'd encourage everyone to go to it.
Thank you. Coming around the mountain,
Well,
Mr. Elsa.
Mr. Fennell prompted a thought. My son-in-law and our kids have sang off and on in the Civic Corral Youth Chorus and the Civic Corral, and it's an amazing talent in our area, and it's very worthwhile. They have their program. I have never been to the dinner, but they have their main 3-day program or 3-night program in December, and then they have it in May again, right around Mother's Day. So it's pretty amazing, and we're blessed to have them active in the community.
Thank you. It's a lot when Junior's got nothing to say. All right, so can I get then a motion? Can I get a motion, Jim, and the purpose for going into executive session?
I'd like to make a motion for going into executive session for the purpose of personnel and sale of property.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Ms. Williams. All those in favor, please say aye. Do you want me to record that your way?
No, I did it. I mean, I recorded it here, but.
Please vote. Let's vote that way, okay?
There we go.
We got it.
Oh, hit it too quick.
Mr. Salzer, did you not mean to vote? Okay,
I didn't vote for it.
how say you? Okay, Mr. Windish, what say you? Aye? Thank you. All right, after we conclude executive session, we'll come out and I will recess the board meeting. See you inside.
down until we're done with executive, is that correct?
You can, because there's no other votes that
Okay.
are going to happen.
Okay.
Unless Andrew has something else up his sleeve.
No. No, sir.
Not Fred.
Let me make sure on this recorder.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna have to do is write myself up some scenarios that when things happen so that I know where to go to without,
Yeah, that's what kind of helps.
yeah, I should have did that. And I had them both together and I separated them thinking they'd want to vote on the budget separate. So that was my fault on that, but anyway, that's got good battery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, charge that up. And so
Okay.
it's just lighting that up to
Okay.
record. So the big important is making sure the red light stays on.
All right.
So it'll turn red.
I'll come
And then we
back
just
and
try
get
to,
this.
if someone talks it's kind of far away, sometimes it's hard to hear. So
I
then that's
see
where
you
we
guys
just put
pushing
like,
it toward it.
or we put like,
Nope.